Welcome everyone to Sopact Podcast. Today we are very excited to have Coura Badiane and Kathleen Lihanda to our podcast. Joining me today also is Hetal Sheth from Sopact. I'm very excited to talk to Coura and Kathleen because we've been working together for over 2 years, and it's been an amazing partnership. It's a partnership about how to become data owner and learning from the data effectively altogether. So I'm very grateful for Coura, you having us and Kathleen and putting trust and all. And today we'll be jumping into some of the exciting work that you do and really starting the journey from SDG driven approach to some of the goals you have for the coaching. So, to get it started, may I invite you to talk about ICF and also your role, and you can take your time to explain.
Thank you, Mesh. Thank you, Hetal. Thank you so much to you and your listeners to be part of this conversation. So, as you have explained, my name is Coura Badiane. I'm the Vice President of the International Coaching Federation Foundation. Our role is to advance social change by providing access to professional coaching services. What the foundation does is that we connect organizations and individuals that are aligned with the UN SDGs with ICF credential coaches to be able to help them achieve their mission and their strategic vision and to overall promote social impact. We also offer scholarships to train and educate the next generation of coaches.
Kathleen?
Yes, thank you so much, Coura. Thank you, Unmesh Hetal, for inviting us into your podcast. We are really excited to be partnering with you and happy to share the work that we've done together. My name is Kathleen Lihanda. I am the Director for Social Impact within the ICF Foundation, and my key role is ensuring that our programs impact individuals and communities positively. The International Coaching Federation believes that the foundation believes that coaching leaders and teams in social change organizations can help build organizational capacity. And as a result, this helps them be able to work towards achieving the UN 2030 global goals. We also believe that with the work that we do, we are able to impact communities positively. And the flagship programs that we work on include the Ignite Initiative program, the special projects, the scholarships, and fundraising. And of course, Coura has already mentioned. The key focus areas in terms of the work that we do include community engagement. We focus on ensuring that we're able to bring out the engagement or the impact on communities that we are able to receive during the period that we work with organizations. Then the number two focus area includes number of SDGs that are represented in our program. And also the third key focus is to be able to collect information and data that proves the impact of coaching.
Thank you so much, Kathleen and Coura, for a great introduction. And I'm very excited to really go further into the journey. I also have a special guest today here, Hetal, who has been working with Kathleen and ICF team from the day one, and she can also add some color to things. Hetal, maybe a quick intro, please.
Hi, my name is Hetal, and I actually lead the customer success team and had a pleasure of actually working with ICF for kind of starting to learn from there. And it's really great to see where we have come so far. And I think even definitely have a long way to go as well. So I'm really thankful that you invited me to this conversation. Thanks, Unmesh.
Thank you. Okay, so let's start with your personal journey. What really, maybe you can start with you. Tell us me about what really drives your passion to working with the coaching. I mean, personally, in my journey, I come from tech, and I'm quite familiar with the women leadership program in India. So I'm very passionate about some of the work you do. But please tell us your passion, in fact. about why this ICF work is so important to you, essentially.
Absolutely. I mean, just in terms of my personal and professional background, I am originally from Senegal, West Africa, and I grew up during the 80s when it was a big emphasis on like having African countries developed, rely on external funding to be able to really achieve the level of economic success. But one of the takeaways, like even though economic success and indicators are really crucial, there is a social dimension to it. If there is no good human development or social protection, we're not going to be able to achieve the level of economic prosperity to make it a sustainable process. So I think my background, I had the opportunity to work with the World Bank in social protection, and that really kind of fueled my interest in kind of connecting the two issue of having impact by connecting the social economic progress with the economic progress and the human dimension of it. um, and that really kind of have guided my interest into that. But I think in terms of coaching, I think really what makes the ICF, within their potential, you have this potential ripple effect that goes down community to the organization to the government and others, which ultimately makes coaching potential impact. Another part of it is also the enthusiasm, the talent, and the dedication of our coaches. So we work with coaches. We have about 60,000 members across the world. Their passion, just by their talent and also by their training, is really that dedication to give back to society and to work for the greater good. So I think once you combine all those forces with the actual impact of coaching, there is great potential for us to be able, for us to be able to really contribute to the betterment of society.
Nice. And Catherine, you want to add something to from your journey perspective?
Yeah, love to do that on Mesh. And, in terms of my experience, I started off by being a certified coach. And of course, I did quite a bit of work as a coach. And one of the things that really stood out for me was the aspect of communicating the impact of my work as a coach. And being in the same situation within the ICF Foundation, where we work with many coaches who are able to impact individual leaders and organizations positively, but it's hard for them to communicate the outcomes and the impact of this work that they do. So understanding where I was and just seeing the same thing going on within the ICF Foundation, I realized that it would be very important for us to pick out strategies that would help us, communicate the impact of coaching more positively. So from the personal perspective, I think Unmesh, that's what I can say in terms of, the past and the present.
And Kathleen, if you can further expand to that one, to what kind of impact goal that is important to you, essentially. How do you really want ICF to be identified as? With few important goals. I know you are definitely tying your work with the Sustainable Development Goal. So tell us more about how do you really consider ICF's real impact is.
So I feel it's important for us to speak on the mission of the ICF Foundation, which is to accelerate and amplify social systemic change within organizations through professional coaching. So this is our mission, to be able to support organizations to realize their social mission and be able to achieve the specific UN global goals that they're focusing on. Knowing that this is our main goal, we understand through the power of coaching, as we partner with ICF credential coaches, we are able to ensure that organizations are able to easily access coaching. So when we partner ICF credential coaches and they address these challenges, then they're able to effectively address the challenges that they have within the organization. So we believe through the power of coaching, organizations are able to move closer towards achieving the UN Sustainable Development Goals through the fact that they develop as leaders, and in turn they're able to ensure the organizational capacity is addressing the specific goal that they're working towards.
Great. So let's talk. Sorry, Cora, you want to add something?
Yeah, I think Kathleen has said it perfectly. I would just add three additional bullet points. So, what makes the ICF Foundation different is we really want to harness the power of coaching as a tool for social system change. Our second objective is really able to build awareness about the potential of coaching. And lastly, as Kathleen has articulated, really be able to provide the data to show why coaching does bring about that change. So I think really that would be like our three objective of why we feel like our work is important and is impactful.
I think I add like a seal the deal here actually between Kathleen and Cora what they said, and I think the data, and I can attest to that, that it definitely proves what Kathleen's and Cora's points are, that they are consistently seeing that those who are getting coaching are saying that their professional development is actually improving, and the personal development and the community development, and I think it kind of ties or attests that what you are achieving, what you intend to achieve. So it's really good to see that.
Thank you.
Yeah, so maybe I'd love to hear some journey that you have taken, starting with some of the work from maybe timeline when, and then before we engage with Sopac, how things were, and what is the reason to engage with Sopac? I mean, fundamentally, it's not like outcome was not important to you; it always was important to, but you have taken the journey to reach where you are right now. So can you tell us a bit about your monitoring journey essentially and why it is important to become data owner instead of just simply relying on third party to tell you what you do?
Yeah, I can definitely start and kind of explain how do we measure social impact, and then love to turn it over to Kathleen to explain the challenge that we have encountering before we partner with SOPAC and the strive that have we have made so far. So I just wanted to share our definition of social impact. So the ICF Foundation defines social impact as a measurable positive outcome of a specific intervention, such as coaching, on the well-being and development of society as a whole at addressing social challenges and promoting social systemic change. So as we have already explained, our theory of change is really to be able to identify the insertion points. And what I mean by insertion point, I really like the agent of changes that would benefit from coaching, and we partner them coaching as a lever for systemic change. And as you know, famously, what is not measured cannot be assessed. So I think part of our journey, where we had this incredible opportunity to our areas of intervention, which include the coaching engagement, fundraising, and the scholarship, to be able to reach out to people. The challenge we have found out is that we could not really describe in very tangible terms what are the impact or what is the difference that coaching makes before and after. So I think this was a big part of our challenge. And because we are wanting to be aligned with the UN SDGs, it's very important for us to be able to, one, identify the area of struggles and be able from there to develop tactics, and also really to be able to measure in terms of short-term and long-term outcomes what benefit do coaching bring about. So in a nutshell, this is really kind of what our theory of change and how we go about being intentional with our mission. And like I would like to turn it over to Kathleen to talk more about our challenges, our data strategy, and the improvement that we have made by partnering with Sopac.
Yeah, thank you, Cora. You've explained it very well. I just wanted to also add the aspect of being able to collect data more effectively and efficiently. So there are two things that we're trying to address. One of them is being able to own the data, and Unmesh, you've already mentioned it, being able to have data ownership of the information we're collecting, the data we're collecting. Previously, would have a third party collect the data, and the third party was the chapters, so they would collect this data and then send it to us. But we realized that we could not validate this data. There was no way for us to validate this data. So we knew one of the strategy was to own the data, and the first step would be for us to get a system or a platform that would help us be able to collect this data collectively. And once we collect collectively, we know that we'll be able to access historical data and current data anytime. and we can go back to the same data and validate whatever data we have within the system. This is remarkable because through the partnership with Sopact, we've been able to collect all this data. It's in a central place. We're able to access it anytime. And the issue of data ownership, lacking the ability to own the data is no longer something that we are grappling with anymore. Having said that, there's also the second aspect, which is to be able to analyze the data real time. So as soon as we collect the data, we should be able to take less time to analyze this data and use that data to make decisions. So right now with Sopact, we are able to access this data real time. We are able to ascertain the progress in terms of the coaching client, how many have completed the sessions, how many are pending. And on top of that, we are able to collect or analyze the information in terms of the impact of coaching itself. So those are the two things, analyzing data and doing it real time, and having a centralized place where we have all this data stored is critical for us to be able to continue communicating, doing as ICF Foundation. And of course, in terms of the data, there are different things different KPIs that we focus on, and how we are able to collect this information is by ensuring that coaching clients send in the pre-coaching information, then again send in the post-coaching information. So it's a lot of data that we collect, and yet it's necessary for us to clearly communicate the impact of coaching.
And if we could just add a few more things, thank you, Kathleen. I think also the partnership with Sopact has been beneficial because it really has also forced us to take another look at our theory of change and really ask the right question. Are we measuring what we're supposed to measure? How can we improve our project management processes? And also, what does need to be done internally so that we can actually provide coaching to more organizations? Because we also have to be mindful of the resource allocation aspect of it. And I think really having that discipline with Sopact has really forced us to be a bit more disciplined, to look at our own challenges, our own biases, and really make sure that, we are doing a lot of work, but how can we really justify the resource that we are taking to achieve that work? And also in the larger perspective, how does it really contribute to supporting the UN SDGs? Because ultimately, as a fundraising organization, when we do that pitch to both our donors and our volunteers, we have to be about the value proposition of this project. And I really feel like the partnership with Sopac has both one in very visual term to be able to see this is what we have collected, and also to be able to really take a deeper dive and looking at the trends in coaching, in best practices, and in social impact to really see what is our actual contribution to the UN SDGs.
Nice. So I would like to go next into nitty gritty of the what insights have you received, but and what is something that aha moment for you from the some of the data that you thought I thought I knew, but I didn't. This is much different than I thought. So I'd love to hear what insights have you been able to achieve. But before you go, this process of impact measurement, especially we talked about pre and post many times, and it's not without any challenge, quite frankly, I'm sure. And I think maybe you can briefly touch on some of the challenges that ICIP had we had to go with the pre and post thing, and how we can do a better job next time.
No, I think this is really a great question. And I have to give a kudos to ICF Foundation team to kind of taking a lot of effort in collecting this right data. And just to kind of summarize, we are not only collecting a data from organization leaders pre-post, we're also kind of collecting from each individual who's actually being coached pre and post to kind of see whether, are they like making a change in their not only knowledge, but applying the knowledge. And I think it's really great to see that they are in true sense maximizing impact, right? I mean, SDG, these leaders are already doing something good. What ICFF is doing is actually kind of making their ability to do good even more. I think some of the challenges that we can touch upon is It's not very easy to collect the data, the validated data that how what Kathleen right from the source of the data that we were thinking will actually help us on that.
Excellent. So let's go into the real aha moment. Kathleen, maybe you are watching dashboards regularly, I'm sure. Tell us more about what insights have you seen that you thought this is something that I did not know before. Tell us more about discovery, because ultimately it's about two things: discovering something that you did not know, especially the unbiased information from the people who are receiving the coaching, and secondly, really ultimately taking some actions on that. So anything that you really helps that how you're using this information would really help our audience.
This. We realized as we're collecting the data that individual clients wanted to focus on a specific goal. Of course, we have different goals that they can select from, but one that really stands out is personal growth. So many of the
Yes.
coaching clients really want to develop themselves personally. They're looking into having some kind of personal growth within themselves. And that was really interesting because we expected for them to choose like leadership. And of course, personal growth also touches on leadership. But within personal growth, when you go deeper into the data, you also realize that for the data between 2023 to 2024 within the Ignite Initiative program, we noticed that 98% really wanted to work on their well-being. And you can see the relation there. I mean, if majority are selecting to develop themselves personally, then it means it makes sense that they've been able to see evidence of better well-being if something there's something like that. Being able to look into yourself and see progress based on the coaching that you received, having developed personally. This is one of the things that really stood out for me. It really stood out for me. The other thing that also stands out is some coaching clients are unable to uh, they're unable to go through the coaching until completion. And when we analyze this data, we realize that it becomes difficult for them to communicate or see any impact of their coaching progress. And to add on that, the coaching clients who are able to complete 6 to 10 coaching sessions, the feedback was really positive. But the ones who completed maybe 3 or below, their again their feedback was not positive. So that also tells us in terms of coaching, there are a number of coaching sessions that would be recommended for you to see an impact in your progress. So when you're going through coaching, probably 6 coaching sessions should be the minimum. And then if you go above, probably 10 would be the maximum. And that's what we focus on within the Ignite Initiative program. We say minimum coaching sessions is 6 and maximum is 10. So just seeing this and seeing it through data just affirms the work that we're doing and the strategy that we have and inspires us to continue doing the work that we're doing as ICF Foundation.
So are you gonna change your process next time to say, hey, in order to fully benefit next year, you need to at least take 6 and above courses, otherwise you're not gonna benefit from. Because ultimately, why waste time
Mhm.
if you're not gonna not spend enough time on this thing? I mean, people are busy in doing many other things. So, anything you're planning to change next year to make sure that they are more those sessions?
Yes, I wouldn't say that it would be something we're changing, but really emphasizing because we already had that criteria that
Hmm.
coaching session, the number of coaching sessions, minimum is 6 and maximum is 10.
Right.
But maybe going forward, communicating clearly to the coaching clients, maybe we don't do much of that. we will be communicating clearly why 6 coaching sessions would make more impact rather than having less than that. Yeah.
And if we could
Yeah.
just,
I think
I would just also add that also, I think what the data has shown is like we have to be intentional about having an impact, whether it's at a personal or the organizational level. So as you can see, as an example, that encouraging coaching client to have a set number of coaching to be able to see that impact, it has to be intentional, and it takes work. And the pre-work is probably what discourages a lot of people, but I think it's an important piece that impact is a dense concept, but you have to be intentional to be able how do you go about it, and also how to really be able to achieve or measure how do you define the success about it. So I would say what the data has shown, like we have to be intentional about it, we have to be strategic, and also we have to be knowledgeable. And that's why it's a good exercise for the coaching client to really take the time to understand what are the areas of challenges, because once again, coaching is a tool. It's not going to be a magic wand to kind of wave and just have everything disappear. It's an investment in yourself, and you also want to be intentional. The second thing I would like to add is also the data has kind of shown, which I think are very interesting in terms of topic. We have seen ever since the pandemic that some of the interests have shifted. So quality education is always a top priority, but I mean, as Kathleen has mentioned, so additional thing about being taking care of yourself, well-being, work-life balances, and also another aspect that is present in all our minds. It's really like having this awareness of the impact of the changes in climate, and what do we do about promoting the planet and keeping it as our home. So I would think if you're looking at the trend for the data, it's really kind of matching with like the global interest and the trends in shifting attitude about what life means for me, how can I be the best that I can be, but at the same time maintaining that mindfulness of work life balance, family matters, health matters, mental health matters.
Excellent. And so this is quite fascinating to see how the power of the data and how you're starting to use. Obviously, this is a journey. In the next chapter of the journey, essentially, how do you see this work we are doing together evolving? And because Cora, we started talking last December, last November, and I think you have some more ambition on how to take this thing further and wanted data centralization, all those things. So tell us about how do you see this effort evolving into next year? What are the challenges you think you want to see next year in our partnership?
Yeah, so thank you, Mesh. And once again, thank you for this great partnership. We have learned a lot. It's been a great journey, and really, we feel now, so I really would look at it in about 3 phases. So phase one, I think, is near accomplishment. It's really to be able to do like a SWOT analysis where we're at, kind of refining our data strategy, refining our processes, and really make sure that we are collecting what we need to collect to be able to measure our success. I think right now we would like to enter in that second phase, which is 2025. And it's really to be able to really show to our constituents, our stakeholders, our donors, this great work that we are doing. How is it really aligning and supporting the UN SDGs? Because I think we have completed like the short-term outcome discovery. We have made the case for the value proposition. Now I think we really want to take it to the next step and really be able to elevate the work and see in the global context, coaching, what does it mean for the next 20, 15 years in terms of HR trends. We really would like to have each company have a coaching line, that a budget line dedicated to coaching, to really be able to empower their employees, their leaders. So for us, I think it's really kind of working with Sopact to really massage and make our data strategy a little bit more pointed, so we can really see, for example, SDG, quality education. This is what is coaching contribution to it, and really be able to lay out the short term, the long term outcome, and also from that, and that's where I'm going to the phase three. What are the best practices that coaches can help organization or individual align with the UN SDGs to be able to maintain and create really like sustainable positive social impact. So it's a bit ambitious, but I think that's the power of dreaming. But coaching is really like a transformative power, and we feel like we should be able to get to that level.
Yeah, it's not it's this is it's glad they are going further downstream to understand roots, and I think there's a lot that we can do in terms of listening more because one of the challenge obviously getting tangible confidence level and that can be easily measured. What is more important is to how individuals benefiting is really serving into their community and getting their feedback and unbiased feedback, more importantly, is very very critical. Because it's one thing to present the number, how many people you train, how many hours you did. That's easy part.
Yeah.
The more part is the really ultimately how that's changing their ground game essentially, and how they're using this knowledge altogether. Maybe Kathleen, you can add more to this conversation.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Cora. Thank you. In terms of going forward, I know Cora has already described it so well. The other thing that I'm also foreseeing is, as we previously mentioned, and it has been mentioned today, within the ICF Foundation, we're not a large staff. We have limited resources within our organization, and we want to take advantage of the AI technology, and partnering with Sopact is our strategy towards having the AI strategy coming to life within the ICF Foundation. So we believe that being able to empower the limited resource or limited staff that we have, empower each one of us to be able to access data anytime, be able to analyze data and make decisions using this data. I think it's something that as ICF Foundation we are working towards, and in partnership with Sopact, I know that will be something that we can achieve. On top of that, in terms of the specific SDGs, going forward, it would be nice for us to link the specific organizational objectives to the target under each SDG. Every SDG has specific targets, and we know under every SDG focus area, these targets are relevant to organizations that are working towards that specific UN global goal. So being able to include that data within SOPACT, I know we've already started highlighting the SDGs, um, and I know that we want to scale it up and make sure that we are able to quickly ascertain what's the progress of this organization towards a specific target under the UN global goal they're focusing on. So, yeah, in terms of just adding those details, and already what's already working is to be able to spend less time, collecting and analyzing data and, communicating this data. We're already doing it with Sopact right now. It's very easy. We're able to share the link or showcase the dashboard. Within 3 minutes, people can see very clearly the impact of the Ignite Initiative program. So just building up on that and continuing to develop on that would be amazing.
I would also add, I
I
think
think
we talk a lot about the quantitative data, but I think also the qualitative data, which is the storytelling aspect of it, has been powerful for us. Because once again, as our focus on fundraising, it's important to us to also be able to tell the story in a human way, because coaching is very human centered in addition to the numbers. So I think what we're really striving to kind of continue to work with SOPAC on is really to have the ability to really be able to measure those shifts in the cultural changes, in the organizational changes, not only with the numbers, as Anmesh has said, but also as an individual. This is how people connect to each other. How has me getting 5 or 6 sessions of coaching has empowered me as a leader to feel confident, to be able to lead my team better, to communicate better, and ultimately to have that trickle down effect on my success for my organization and my community. So I would think, this is not going to be solved overnight, but I think the more we are intentional about, understanding why we measure, then we can explain the how. But it's really to be able to communicate to someone who is not a coach in 2 minutes, this is why
Yeah.
coaching is important and what is valuable for you. So I think this is kind of like our North Star to really be able to show that, there is data and measurement behind what we do and just for social impact as a whole. And I think that's the beauty of it. it's an evolving industry. We always learn something new, and I think as long as we are open to just looking at those improvements and examining those gaps, I think that's what makes us relevant in the industry.
Great.
Let me
And
add one small thing on Mesh. I think here, I think just before I lose my thought, I mean, I really admire, I think, what you said, Kathleen and Cora. And one thing is bringing the data back to the people who are giving you the data. And I think, Kathleen, to your point, you pointed out like how many coaching session actually the tipping point for people to have a benefit of it. And sharing the data back, like I know that average is about 8 sessions that you have that's showing on my dashboard that you're looking at, and that's excellent, right? Like telling people that, hey, you do minimum this because our data is proven that having minimum this many day coaching session actually empowers you to whatever that goal that you have. Also, I think what my aha moment, and I think I miss saying that, is like how many people are applying this knowledge. I think I was taken aback. I mean, like whopping more than 70% of the people are saying on the data that they have applied the learn what they learned from a coaches at least once. I think it's a direct result of some of the things that they will be able to do, and it's actually very difficult to capture that because the coaching is actually, like a multiple months. They have an opportunity to apply the knowledge that they are gaining, and that is actually a very good thing to see that.
excellent. And so that's more from applying the knowledge perspective. From my perspective, I'm a data guy, and I one thing I remember, first time we engaged Kathleen, you had like a large spreadsheet with many different data, and then phase one, clean up two, and then finally coding. That was quite harrowing job altogether. And hopefully from there we have come to much farther where the data is flowing real time. And I would even inspire you to say, hey, next year maybe you want another thing you mentioned at that time also, that obviously, and put the key metrics on the website as well. So happy to work on that if you, that goal, yeah, is part of your thing. But that's fantastic. I think you've taken quite a bit of journey. Maybe that comes to the final question here. It's really, it's not a question. It's really, it's an opportunity to present ICF in the light of the why someone who is really interested in this particular space should really pay attention to the work you do and outcomes that you're creating. And maybe you can give your 30 seconds pitch, essentially based on that everything that you have learned so far, in a data driven approach.
I can take a stab at that. So I think what I would say is like why ICF Foundation is different and why our work matters. I think it's because we just go beyond coaching. We are really committed to creating systemic change. We feel like coaching transform leaders who in turn can transform their team, their organization, and ultimately their own communities. What sets us apart is one is where we have a dedicated theory of change that has been proven to be successful, and by linking coaching with the UN SDGs. And also, I just want to say that really emphasize that the passion, the talent, and the dedication of our volunteers make us a reckoning force. We would not be able to do what we do without our volunteer, without our council of ambassadors, without our board of trustees. Because from a coaching perspective, they really were able to sit down back in 2015 and really see how why coaching matters, how it could matters, and how do we go back and share that story back with the stakeholders and the coaching client. Lastly, I would say also I will focus on creating the next generation of coaches is really important to our scholarship program. And because we are focusing on being inclusive, on being impactful, by having the support of donors and other coaches, we will be able to scale up our program, and we'll really be able to empower the leaders to drive that change, because ultimately coaching, ICF, and the ICF Foundation is really striving to create a future where everybody is empowered to lead, to innovate, so we can really have a transformation and make a difference at the global level.
Kathleen,
Oh, Cora
final
has
word?
summed it very well. I don't
I think we can add actually an inspiring, a last point from my side is it's amazing to see, we learned something from you guys too. And I can see that the power of coaching even we are taking this to our heart. And I think, to some of the points, Kathleen, you were saying that how to maximize the use of the platform and, even have an ability to kind of dig into the data easily. Even we are thinking like we are also like rolling out the capacity building course, because we think that it needs some coaching over there for people to be kind of digging into the data, right? So I think you've inspired us already, actually, by having a good coaching story.
Excellent. Well, thank you. We covered a whole host of topic and really appreciate your spending time to share your journey with everyone. And I hope you others also can hear and take away from how this data-driven journey starts. The first thing you want to do is not to have a fear. You have to start and jump in sometimes without any fear, and then it really starts to evolve by itself. And it's not a one-time process. It's a continuously evolving process, and in that one, it requires a lot of dedication and commitment. And I really appreciate all the hard work the ICF Foundation team is doing. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you for the opportunity to mention it. I really would like to just say, who anybody who's working in social impact, I would strongly encourage you to have a call with Sopac and really learn more about the work that they do, and because it has really been valuable for us. So really would encourage anybody to really have a call with them, see what they have to offer. But we are really valuing this partnership and looking forward to continuing in for many years.